Thank you. Need a sip of water here. Oh, sorry. So, yeah, now, hey guys, I just played a medley for you with some parts from the latest album, In Human Spirits, by my band Darkane. Hope you enjoyed it. So, thanks a lot. The fact is, though, that I'm aware that some of you might have noticed flaws, mistakes, and, realize that I am not among the truly exceptional drummers out there. It makes me think that people might wonder, why did this guy get the opportunity to do a TEDx talk when there are so many other better drummers out there? I will share with you my journey to facing these kinds of thoughts and trying to be kind to myself and accepting where I am on my musical journey. My name is Peter Wildoer, and some of you might know me as a math and drum teacher at Megamusik Gymnasieskola, a music high school where I have been teaching for 2.5 decades. Others might know me as a metal drummer. So here's a recent photo of me playing live with my band Darkane at Rockstage in Malmö, Sweden. I think this photo really highlights the word kindness in the title of my talk, A Metal Drummer's Guide to Inner Kindness. So let's go back to the beginning of my story. This is me at age 5. I turned 50 last week, so it's going to be a long talk, you understand that, okay? So, and as you can see, I was already a true metalhead already then. So at Christmas, I got a toy drum kit, and that's pretty much where it all started. At age 7, I was gifted my first real set of drums. And I played drums, but wasn't really practicing. I liked the idea of being a drummer more than I understood the need to practice to actually become one. But at age 15, I was playing in a band. And we often filmed our shows to watch it afterwards, to get some feedback, what needed improvement. This is an excellent way of getting just feedback and identify what you need to work on. However, I also noticed that I wasn't much fun to be around backstage before and after the shows. So have a look at this serious party pooper here. Also the hair, I love the hair. I love it. I was so nervous that if the other band members were joking around and having a great time, I would tell them to stop, start preparing for the show, and warming up. Honestly, if I were in a band with myself at that point, I would have told myself to change attitude or maybe even leave the band. So when seeing this video at age 15, I already understood that while I needed to be serious about my music, I also needed to get a grip about my nervousness and change my attitude. The reason I was so nervous was that I wanted everything to be perfect. And I couldn't be kind enough to myself to let any mistakes pass. I want to demonstrate the rest of my journey through the Dunning-Kruger effect. On the horizontal axis, we have competence and knowledge, low to the left and high to the right. On the vertical axis, we have confidence, the belief in your abilities, with low at the bottom and high at the top. In their research, Dunning-Kruger discovered that people with little competence in any given field most often overestimate their abilities. So this is a simplified graph and not the actual version from their research, but this one serves my story better and also my experience with playing drums and trying to get better at it. So the serious me at age 15 started here with both low competence and confidence. But I did practice and we rehearsed a lot with our band. So this, of course, made me a better drummer that quite fast gained a lot of confidence. I was able to play along to some well-known songs and believed that I was close to the competence of the musicians on the recordings. But the difference was, of course, big, because my understanding and ability to hear nuances and musicality was very limited in the beginning. Since I really couldn't hear and understand the difference between my own playing and that of the professionals on the recordings, I just believed that I was as good as my idols. So when I was 18, my band, named Educator at the time, secured our first record deal. Great times. And this was probably my peak of what is sometimes called Mount Stupid. So this is where you overestimate your abilities, and you've learned a little about something and become overly confident in your abilities. We had a meeting with the producer, and he pointed out, before we were recording our debut album, so we listened to a few demos that we had recorded, and he gave us a lot of valuable feedback on what we should work on before entering the studio 6 months later. This was a turning point for me. I realized that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. So at this point, I could either have ignored the feedback and stagnated, or I could be humble, trust the wisdom of others, and start working on improving. I chose the latter. I started practicing with purpose, focusing on the areas that the producer had pointed out. I was a much better drummer when we actually started the recording, and I was well prepared. But in the years that followed, I just realized how much there is to learn and how little I actually knew. So I was quite fast heading towards the valley of despair. It was a difficult time, but also beneficial, actually, as it made me humble and appreciate the vastness of knowledge out there. As I slowly improved, my confidence started to build again, and I was on the slope of enlightenment. But I personally haven't reached the confidence I had in the beginning at Mount Stupid. Still working on that. So I wish I could go back and tell my younger self not to be so hard on myself. At the same time, my desire to improve kept me practicing. So it's a fine line. Perfectionism can be both a motivator and a danger. During this time, it's crucial not to compare yourself to others, but rather to focus on your own progress. So, you might have chosen a goal that you've seen or heard someone else do, but rather to stay focused on your own track, and don't forget that they already put in the hours of practice to reach to that point. To be honest, I feel more like it's a very, very slow process in gaining the knowledge and competence I want to. And the road actually looks more like this to me. This also had to do with the fact that my musical understanding has gotten so much better over the years that I now can understand very complicated rhythms and concepts, even though I'm still not able to play them. That requires a lot more practice. And when you have reached intermediate or advanced level, it takes a lot of effort to get better, even for the slightest progress, compared to than if you are a beginner. Over time, I learned to give myself some slack and realized how liberating it is to tell yourself that what you have done is good enough. A friend of mine once told me that if I focus on the small mistakes during a show, it's like standing in front of a giant painting and obsessing over the brushstrokes in the lower right corner. So instead, I should take a few steps back and appreciate the painting and the work as a whole. So after gigs, I often used to think about the, hopefully, few hits I played wrong. But now, I try to think about all the thousands of hits I actually played right. So I began to be kinder to myself. And when I realized that after shows, when fans would tell me how much they enjoyed it and how great they thought I played, I would often respond by pointing out all the mistakes I made and all the drummers who are much, much better than myself. Eventually, I realized that by doing this, I might be making the fans feel like they didn't understand what they had witnessed, or that I wasn't grateful for their comments, which I of course was and still am. So I slowly started to learn to simply say thank you, to show them my appreciation. This was difficult in the beginning because I didn't think I was that great. But after a while, it started to feel good to accept that I had done something that made other people happy and gave them a great experience. So the mere thought that people buy tickets to come to see our shows and enjoy it, I mean, that's a wonderful thing. In 2010, I got a phone call inviting me to audition for the band Dream Theater, one of the biggest progressive metal bands in the world. I was shocked, but of course, wanted to try. So a week later, I received an email sent to all 7 drummers who were invited to audition. The other drummers were my heroes, my role models, my idols, all of whom had big names in the drumming community. At first, I was intimidated, but then I reminded myself that even though I was the least known of the group, they had invited me to audition, which meant that they thought that I had something to bring to the table. We had 4 weeks to prepare for the audition, and there was a lot to learn. None of the songs were easy, I can tell you that. So I worked on the songs every evening, after works and weekends, and felt prepared when I arrived in New York for the audition. I was incredibly nervous and scared of the whole situation. I actually have very little recollection of the 2 days in New York before my audition. But the audition went well, and I received a lot of positive feedback. But I didn't get the job. But I felt like a winner anyway. Just being asked to audition was enough for me, and I learned a lot from this experience. We may not be the best, and that's not the point. But that doesn't mean that we don't have something valuable to offer. So by being kind to ourselves and being humble about how much there still is to learn, we can look forward to the journey to mastery. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present and appreciating how far you have come. Thank you so much for listening, and most importantly, be kind to yourselves. Bye. Woo!